Welcome back, everybody. Our guest author this morning describes herself as a Xhosa Culture Ambassador and pioneer with an unquenchable passion for Xhosa heritage and culture. Her name is Hombakazi Mercy Nqandeka, and she's launching her new book titled Don't Upset ooMalume today, and written in both English and isiXhosa. The book talks about the important life stages and ceremonies, as well as many other things that make up the Xhosa culture. Hombakazi Nqandeka is in studio with us this morning to take us through the contents of this offering. Hombakazi, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for
you look
me.
dashing. You look regal. You look everything great with your outfit.
Beautiful
stuff.
Much. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. Let's talk about the description of this book and why you saw the need to write it.
So, Don't Upset ooMalume. People are always like, what is that? What does it mean? But it's a title that came because if you need to interact with elders in the village, you need to know the culture, you need to know the vocabulary, you need to know the food, you need to know the clothes, you need to know the medicine, you need to understand the livelihoods. So I felt like we are becoming more modernized and we're living in the cities. It's inevitable. We're looking for jobs. But there is nothing that we go back to and be like, this is our heritage, this is our culture. Because our African cultures are very oral, it's handed down. And in the process, it gets lost because you see it that way. You say this and another person says that. It's like, who is who? What is right? And this is not a book that says this is how you do it, but it's specifically captured in certain villages. So it might not be the same in other Xhosa villages, but at least it captures something about the culture.
And you say that this book came from your concern that certain aspects of Xhosa culture might be lost somewhere in the future. What makes you think that it might be lost?
Because we're living in the cities and things are getting a little bit diluted, and it's inevitable. Again, it's times, it's evolution of culture. But at least when we capture it, when we write it, we are freezing it for the next generations. So I felt like at least it doesn't go completely extinct. That the elders that we have now in the next 10 years, they won't be there. We will be the elders, and what will we offer to the generation that will be there? So that was my concern, and I started writing.
Do you not think that these so-called Model C schools are contributing to kids not knowing themselves, their culture and their heritage, and of course their identity? Because apparently I do understand that kids grow up knowing that the great English you speak, the more intelligent you seem.
Yeah, the culture of coconuts, being white inside and black outside, you're basically kind of brainwashing and whitewashing, greenwashing, and forgetting about your culture and saying that, oh, the more English, the better. And you really forget about where you come from. So that adds, because schools should be able to offer an ability for children to learn their culture. So,
Indeed.
Yeah.
Speak to us about how this book taps into the city dwellers' yearning to reconnect with their roots.
It's a great thing because you're able to connect with your roots when you read and understand what is what in Xhosa. So people have really given me a great feedback since the book was out in July. And they were like, finally, I understand why Makulu said this, why Tatomkulu said that. So it's a best way to connect for people who are living in the cities. I've met people in the cities and I sell books and they're like, I'm bringing my children so that you can sign the book with them so that they understand the value of learning the culture. And so it has been amazing, and it's written in both isiXhosa and English. So someone who can't read isiXhosa, they'll be like, okay, I can read in English and then understand. So I think it bridges the gap that we have between city dwellers and village dwellers.
Would you call this book some sort of a Xhosa dictionary? Like a go-to guide in terms of, what does this Xhosa word mean?
Yeah.
Or is it simply expressions or Xhosa expressions or some of the cultural aspects of the language?
It has meaning. So I'll have a word and have a picture. So this is a picture book. I'll have a word, I have a picture, and then I have a description of what that word means.
I see.
So it is a go-to. It would be, not really, I don't want to say a Xhosa dictionary because it doesn't have word for word, but at least it covers a lot of words that we deal with every day.
Got you.
Yeah.
Now do unpack for us some of the major Xhosa life topics that you highlight through this book.
Yeah. So I talk about stages of life from birth. There is Mbeleko in Xhosa. There's Uqatywa. There is Intonjana, that is a girl child going for initiation, and then the ooMalume, a boy child going for circumcision. And then there's marriage.
You see, so many people don't actually know that girls go through initiation.
Yeah, in the Xhosa culture they do.
Really?
It's not very common so far. And it's not genital mutilation, it's just going to be taught, getting ready to be married.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
A teenager, once you get to your period, your menstrual period, then you can go through it. So it was done a lot in my mother's times, I would say.
Right.
And then,
is it still practiced today?
It is.
Okay.
It is. But now people do it at an older age. Someone will be like, okay, I need Intonjana, but initially it is training, it's a stage that you go through. And there's that, and then there's ilobola, and then there's pregnancy in the process where and there is graduation when you're already married after like 10 years or something, and then there is depth. So it's all the stages that I unpack. It's the food, it's the clothes, it's the beads, it's the medicinal plants. It's just a lot of things and events and ceremonies, rituals, yeah.
And the book also shares your personal stories from your daily life. Just share some of those.
Because I live in the village now, so that means I still cook outside. I still fetch water, I still fetch firewood, but I won't carry it on my head sometimes. And I just live a typical village life. I walk, I cross rivers barefoot, because it's a life I chose. When I came back from studies abroad, I was like, this is life, this is my life, this is what I want to do. I want to express the Xhosa livelihoods to the best. You know?
Would you call yourself a modern Makoti, though?
I'm not a Makoti, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm a single lady, but yeah, I'm not modern.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So what really fascinates you about, you've done, I mean, you've lived the city life, right?
Yes.
And you're still in the village. What really fascinates you about both facets and both narratives of, the different cultures?
Yeah, when I get in the city, I get lost. Like, I go everywhere. I meet my friends. I get tired because I'm like going out, doing this, doing that. Because I like the vibrancy that the city brings, the networking and the connections that you get with people. Like from the airport, you will talk to someone, they're like, oh, I know someone who does this and that. It's the connection. But in the village, what I always yearn for when I travel is the grounding. I'm like, I need home. I normally say I need my home, so that I can just go and hide myself and recoup and regain the strength. And nature, I mean, I live 5 minutes from the beach. So it's like walking at the beach and just reconnecting with nature. So when I get away from the city here, I'll disappear into my abyss, the village. So it's always like calling me, and I love that. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And, you say that this book will help reconnect people, or rather closer people to their roots.
Yes.
In what sense? And who? Is it the kids or is it the elders?
It's everybody, funny enough, because when my older cousin has read the book, he was like, I didn't understand that this book covers things I don't really even know about, because I've done a research with elders and talking to elders, what is what, and they tell me things I don't even know about. So I think the book is across the spectrum. I wouldn't say for kids or for adults, but for anyone who yearns to know deeply about our culture, because we have our cultures, but you'd find out that we don't know deeply about the things that our ancestors went through, the things that our ancestors did. So if you're a person who's interested in the history, because I believe that we learn by understanding the past. So when you want to understand the past, why are we here? How did we get here? You go back, and this book helps you go through that.
Tell me, Hombakazi, what can be done in terms of documenting our culture and our languages? Because seemingly most parents are not so keen in passing some of the, the certain cultural aspects to the younger generation.
It's going to the feet of the elders, back to the villages, because we don't have this information in the cities. So it's being curious and going back to the village and being very polite and nice in the way we ask, and we just don't because sometimes I'm in a ceremony, I'm just attending and I'm listening to elders chatting. I don't interfere and I don't impose myself in the space. I just listen, and then I pick something, I pick a point, and I'm like, that was a very interesting point. And then I just Nicodemously go to the elder and kind of talk to them, and then the topic expands because they will explain more, and I'm like, I want to ask more. So it is this journalistic ability that we all have deeply in us. We want to ask questions, we want to know why. So it's just sitting there and absorbing. Again, you won't have that ability if you're always living in the city and only come home in December,
Okay.
So if you're able, but it's not everyone who's able to, but the people who are in the village, who are young people, educated people, not educated people, everybody in our culture should be able to stick with the elders because they have a lot to offer.
So is this going to be our life? Like, if I want to know more about my culture, I have to go to the villages?
You can, but eventually, because if we are starting to have books like this that capture this, then you won't have to, because at least it's captured. But now it's capturing all the oral history that is there, because it's not captured anyway. It's captured in haphazardly. For example, it is there in books that are captured from the Western perspective, like someone from the UK who came to South Africa, fascinated by the Xhosa culture, started writing books, but they're again writing from a perspective of a Westerner and don't really understand the depth of other concepts. I admire their work, I love it, because it gives you an idea of what was what.
Indeed.
It gives you a foundation of asking questions, but we have to write our books our way, the way we understand.
So much fascinates me about the Xhosa culture, the language, the outfits. And where can I get a copy of this book?
It's available as exclusive books, bargain books. It's at Loot, it's at Take A Lot, it's on Amazon. It's available in bookstores nationwide, and you can even order it if in your nearest bookstore it's not there. You can always order it from Jonathan Paul. They'll place an order.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great stuff. You know, during the throughout this interview, I couldn't help look at your outfit. It's
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Yeah, I made
what do you
this
call
myself.
Umbhaqo, right?
And this is called isiXhosa. It's a bead that is worn by women in Amabomvana. That is where I come from, Xhosa. So women wear this, and bayombatha banxiba incebetha, but incebetha is very Xhosa, and I'm wearing umbhaqo.
Okay.
And umbathile isistofu, which is a modern istofu. So
is that what it's called? Istofu?
Istofu, like an injection.
Okay.
That's the name, but istofu is like the little blanket that women wear, which is mostly like ibhaliwe, like it has lines like umbhaqo. So I have a rondaville behind when I turn around. You see a rondaville, so you can decorate it with beads and whatever you want. So some people will put some noisy things like when you walk in. Right. So we just go all, and this is called the Ikechemia. It's worn by.
Say that again.
Ikechemia.
Ikechemia.
Yeah.
Okay.
We modernize it now. We put beads and everything. It's worn by newly wedded women.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see.
So we just try to mix it and modernize it in a nice way.
And then the beads in your wrist, is it just an accessory? Or?
No, it's just an accessory. I make this too. So I make beads too. So,
okay. Yeah. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank
Great
you
chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Lovely. Thanks.
All right. That was a writer, public speaker, and author Hombakazi Mercy Nqandeka, and we've been unpacking her book titled "Don't Upset ooMalume."